Hey, welcome. Today we're diving into an ancient text that's so much more than just a list of rules. Think of it more like a design document for an entire society. It's a blueprint for how to structure a year, a community, and a nation's deepest values.
So that gets you thinking, right? How do you take your most important beliefs, things like freedom, gratitude, and justice, and weave them into the actual rhythm of people's lives? Well, this document gives us a surprisingly powerful and really practical answer.
Okay, so the foundation of this whole societal calendar is built around three massive festivals. And these weren't just, optional holidays. Nope, these were mandatory national gatherings, pilgrimages that every man had to make. The whole point was to unify the people and constantly remind them of who they were together. So what are these three big appointments? First, you have the Festival of Unleavened Bread, which you probably know as Passover. Then comes the Festival of Weeks, and finally, the Festival of Tabernacles. Each one hits at a different point in the agricultural year, and each one is just packed with meaning.
All right, first up, Passover. This festival is all about one thing, a command to remember. Specifically, remembering a time of incredible hardship, followed by an incredible liberation. And its central symbol is something the text calls the bread of affliction.
Now, what's so fascinating here is how physical this all is. The entire nation had to eat unleavened bread for a whole week to literally re-experience the frantic rush of their ancestors escaping Egypt. There was no time to let the bread rise, right? And you'll also notice this instruction that all sacrifices have to happen at one single chosen location. Keep that in mind, because it's a theme that's going to keep coming back.
Okay, so fast forward 7 weeks from the start of the harvest and we hit the second major festival. If Passover was about looking back at hardship, the Festival of Weeks is all about celebrating the blessings that came after. It's basically a national moment of pure gratitude.
And here, gratitude isn't just a feeling, it's an action. People were told to give an offering, but, and this is the key part, it had to be in proportion to the blessings they'd received. So there's this really direct link between your own prosperity and your generosity. But even here, in this moment of abundance, the text drops in this crucial gut check. Remember that you were slaves in Egypt. Never forget where you came from.
And that brings us to the final pilgrimage festival, Tabernacles. And this one is just an explosion of pure joy. It happens at the very end of the agricultural year, after all the grain and all the grapes from the winepress have been safely gathered in. It's the grand finale.
And this isn't just a gentle suggestion to be happy, it's a command to celebrate. The text literally says that after this week of partying at the holy place, your joy will be complete. It's the peak of the whole year's work, a nationwide celebration of having plenty and feeling secure.
So okay, we've got three totally distinct festivals, right? But when you take a step back and look at them together, a really clear pattern starts to emerge. This wasn't just a random collection of holidays, it was a brilliantly designed system, all held together by some powerful unifying ideas.
This table just lays it out perfectly, doesn't it? For Passover, the action is eating that special bread to drive home the principle of remembrance. For the Festival of Weeks, the action is giving in proportion to what you've received, to teach gratitude. And for Tabernacles, the action is to feast and be joyful to achieve pure celebration. Remembrance, gratitude, celebration. That is the emotional and spiritual rhythm of the entire year.
And weaving through all of them is this one insistent command that you hear again and again. You can't just do these things anywhere. You have to travel, sometimes for days, to the one central place chosen for the whole nation. And that wasn't just about logistics. It was a powerful, deliberate tool to forge a single, unified nation out of a bunch of scattered tribes.
So who was on the guest list for this massive national party? Literally everyone. The text here it's radically inclusive. It goes out of its way to list not just your family, but your servants, the local religious leaders, and, this is so important, the most vulnerable people in society, the foreigner, the orphan, and the widow. Celebration wasn't a private affair, it was a community-wide responsibility.
And right when you think you've got the pattern down, remembrance, gratitude, celebration, the text just completely flips the script. It makes this sudden dramatic pivot away from festivals to something else entirely, the very foundation that makes any of it possible.
I mean, think about it. What's the point of celebrating a great harvest if your land can be stolen by a corrupt neighbor? How can you feel truly grateful if the system is rigged? This ancient blueprint understood that real, lasting, joyful celebration requires a bedrock of justice for everybody.
So, the very first command given to the new judges is just stunningly direct. Don't twist justice. Don't play favorites. The scales have to be balanced for everyone, no matter how rich or poor, powerful or weak they are.
And then you get this incredibly sharp insight into human nature. A bribe does so much more than just buy a favorable verdict. It completely corrupts the person who takes it. It blinds the eyes of the wise, so that even good people can no longer see the truth. And it twists the words of the innocent, making truth itself impossible to find.
And here's the bottom line. This is the big so that. Justice isn't just some nice, lofty idea. The text presents it as a matter of national survival. The command is to pursue justice and justice alone. Why? So that you can live, so that you can thrive, so that you can actually hold on to the land. Without justice, the whole national project, it just falls apart.
So, what does it all mean when we put the two halves of this text together? We realize the festivals and the laws aren't two separate subjects at all. They are deeply, fundamentally intertwined.
This is the core argument, the big takeaway. You cannot have one without the other. Real joy, deep celebration, it's not an escape from the hard work of building a fair and equitable society. No, it's the opposite. A just society is the fertile ground where true, secure, and complete joy can finally grow.
And that, of course, leaves us with a pretty big question for ourselves. This ancient blueprint makes a powerful claim that you can't have authentic celebration without justice. So how does that idea sit with us? What's the relationship between celebration and justice in our own world, in our own communities today?